The Bachelor Greatest Seasons Ever special is coming to an end, with only 2 more episodes. Nick Viall's season, which is being highlighted next, and finally, Juan Pablo's season, to create a perfect bridge from the GOAT special to the new season with Claire as the initial Bachelorette. Which means that a lot of fantastic seasons were left out of this special. So, I decided to do my very own video on one of my favorite seasons that never made it, Rachel Lindsay's. Now, why is Rachel's season worthy of being called one of the greatest seasons ever? Simply put, it has all the elements a great season of The Bachelor should have. A strong lead who knows what they want, actual romance, tons of drama, a cast of recognizable men, and an ending that actually leads to a marriage. One of only 5 times that's happened from a Bachelor or Bachelorette season. 7 if you count Jason Mesnick and Ari, who married their runner-ups. So since the Bachelor people aren't revisiting Rachel's season, apparently because they don't have the licensing rights to it anymore, that and Emily Maynard's season, either way, Bachelor Fantake is here to do it anyways. So, the year is 2017, and Nick Viall's season of The Bachelor has come to an end with Rachel Lindsay, an attorney from Dallas, Texas, being announced as the first ever black woman to become the Bachelorette. Because now all we're talking about is Rachel's story, and from night 1, things get off to a strong start, both because of the men who show immediate potential, like first guy out of the limo, Peter.
From Wisconsin. I know you haven't had the best of luck with Wisconsin guys lately. Well, hopefully I can be a good Wisconsin guy for you.
Yeah, that'd be great.
By the way, time and time again I've heard that producers will have someone they think is a strong contender as the first one to exit the limos. There's also Brian.
Have you ever dated a Colombian guy before?
Not Colombian.
Oh,
No.
girl, you in
Am I
trouble.
in?
You in
Oh,
trouble.
okay.
You in trouble. But it's all good trouble.
Dean, yup, that Dean, who actually had already met Rachel at the After the Final Rose of Nick's season, along with a few others. And finally, Eric.
Dancing is my jam.
That's gonna be our thing.
All 4 of these guys make great first impressions, but of course we are now in the modern era of Bachelor programming, meaning you better believe Rachel's Night 1 is also going to have tons of gimmicks. Some are okay,
I just had to break the ice.
some come straight out of a dollar store costume shop,
Once penguins find their soulmates, they tend to mate for life.
some are guys Rachel literally babysat as a kid,
It's your 8th grade picture.
I don't want to see it.
I haven't seen you or talked to you in over 15 years,
Yes.
but I truly believe that everything happens for a reason.
some are kind of impressive, and some are pure cringe.
Could I ask you to close your eyes for just a second?
I don't like where this is going.
But when all of the gimmicks are said and done, none of them compare to Waboom Guy. This dude Lucas here, who literally has a catchphrase, and it's this.
Stop it. Get some help.
Truly, we are in the golden age of Bachelor gimmicks with this season. And already you might recognize a number of men from the season who've made appearances all over Bachelor in Paradise and Bachelor Winter Games. Men like Iggy, Kenny, Dean, DeMario, Adam, Jamie, Fred, Diggy, Jack, Eric, Penguin Guy, Drummer Guy, Tickler. All of these dudes have been on some kind of Bachelor spin-off, and Alex here even made it onto Bachelor in Paradise Australia. And saying this now, I even feel like I must be forgetting people, but we're gonna move back into the season. So Rachel has now met her men, both the good and the bad, the manly and the memes.
How are you?
That's scary.
You look gorgeous. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Adam.
And this is Adam Jr.
Yep, that's Adam, now engaged to Raven from Bachelor in Paradise, who thought it would be a good idea to bring a creepy doll version of himself to the show. And Adam Jr. here, aka AJ, becomes a beautiful meme for the whole season.
I'm black and you're white.
Je n'ai jamais vu ta beauté. Elle a un flamme en feu de mon nom.
Like, this doll ends up in the background of a whole bunch of group dates all throughout the show. And although he didn't find love with Rachel,
He scares me.
Je la dégoûte.
I'm happy to announce that AJ is currently engaged to celebrity ghost doll Annabelle. Happy endings do exist. Now, a lot of this night 1 gets taken up by drama. Like Blake here, who says he knows Waboom guy outside of the show and claims that he's not here for the right reasons.
He was, over my bed, peeling a banana, and he was like licking the banana like this.
Is this real or is this a joke?
But while all that arguing and drama happens, other men are actually forming connections with Rachel, like First Impression Rose recipient Brian here.
No!
And that's a pretty accurate representation of how the rest of the season is going to go down. Dudes having big puffed out chest arguments with each other only to realize that 2 or 3 other guys have spent their time wisely and formed real connections with Rachel. And Rachel really wastes no time with these kind of bros. Like as Blake and Waboom feud over who's here for the right reasons, Rachel immediately sends both of them home at the next rose ceremony. Oh, and that same episode also has one of the most iconic moments from the season. DeMario's group date, where, surprise, surprise, DeMario's girlfriend shows up telling Rachel that DeMario ghosted her to come on the show.
You and I
on
are just going...
my father's grave,
never,
ever. On my both of my kittens sleeping in my house right now, on my...
After Rachel gives DeMario the boot, he tries to come back, but Rachel's having none of it. So we move on to week 3, where the contestants then head on a group date to the Ellen show, but sorry, what's that? Oh, this segment of the video has been cancelled just like Ellen. But now that DeMario, Waboom, and Blake have gone, the drama has to shift somewhere new, and the fresh feud that's taken center stage is between Lee and Kenny. So, it all starts when Lee here alleges that Kenny tried to physically force him out of a van, and then he goes to tell Rachel about it. Of course, Kenny gets peeved, and it basically just snowballs from here into argument after argument, and a classic Bachelorette 2-on-1 where both get sent home. Another example of how feuding with other dudes on the show just ruins your chances with the lead. Of course, this blew up even further when racialized tweets were uncovered from Lee's Twitter account, and at the Men Tell All, Chris Harrison asked Lee if he wanted to apologize, and Lee did.
To read that out loud makes me feel unbelievably uncomfortable.
Yeah. That tweet was racist, and I denounce it.
However, a number of the men continued to say that they didn't think his apology was sincere, and after the tell-all, Rachel did say that she was going to accept the apology.
If you're going to apologize, if you're going to fix your mouth and your lips to apologize to me, I'm going to accept it.
And also at the tell-all, Adam confirmed that he was sitting next to Kenny when the alleged van altercation happened, and that Kenny never tried to physically throw Lee out of the van. So, yeah, a lot of man drama this season, and I've not included other guys like Iggy, who also tries to white knight by warning Rachel about Josiah's intentions, and this season is a prime example of what not to do as a contestant on The Bachelorette. But when all the dust is settled, there are 4 guys who've spent their time wisely and are real contenders for Rachel's heart. These men are Peter, Eric, Brian, and Dean, with Dean having one of the more bizarre hometowns in Bachelorette history. So Dean has a tumultuous relationship with his father that all stems from when his mother passed away, and Dean expresses to Rachel how sad he is that he can't bring her to a family that he's excited for her to meet. Now, Dean eventually goes home that week, but his charming good looks, soft attitude, and hometown story propelled him to become a Bachelor fan favorite that he later ruins on his first season of Bachelor in Paradise. But that's a whole different story. Which leaves Fantasy Suites with Eric, Peter, and Brian. And this season was pretty unique in that we went into the finale with all 3 of these guys. Typically, it's Fantasy Suites, Men Tell All, and then the final 2 for the finale. But this change in format mainly had to do with how things went down with Peter here. But before we get there, first to get eliminated from the final 3 is Eric, whose main story was that he had never fallen in love before. Now, alas, it was never meant to be with Eric, as this season really was only ever coming down to 2 men, Peter and Brian, as both of these men had extremely strong chemistry with Rachel all throughout the season. But when it comes to the fantasy suite, Peter needs to be honest with Rachel and says that he's not at a place where he's willing to propose.
I can't do tomorrow. You tell me you just want to be my boyfriend.
I can do nothing but wish you the very best.
A pretty unique and dramatic ending to a relationship at this point in the Bachelor and Bachelorette franchise. So after this conversation, just like that, the relationship ends. Bachelor Nation was crushed, and a large outcry was made for Peter to become the next Bachelor, something many viewers would still want to this day. And apparently he was offered the role 3 times, but he turned it down. According to Peter, he, 1, had started talking to someone outside of the show, and the producers had asked if he'd end it. 2, he wasn't confident he'd actually come out with an engagement and didn't want the pressure to propose regardless of his feelings. 3, he was actually making more money in real life than the franchise was offering. And 4, when it came down to it, producers were apparently unwilling to negotiate with him on the contract, and so he turned that down. But getting back to the season, we now only have one man left, Brian. And while some people have thought that Rachel would have picked Peter if he was willing to propose, I don't agree. In my opinion, Brian was the frontrunner the whole time.
My focus is completely on you, and that's the way it's going to remain.
So at the end of the season, there's just that one man. And you know that when Brian comes to meet Rachel, there's a proposal on its way.
Rachel Lindsay, will you be my reina forever?
So pretty, yes!
And marry me?
And so the two ride off into the sunset happily engaged. Today, Rachel and Brian are happily married. And Rachel has become a centerpiece of Bachelor Nation, being the host of podcasts, making multiple appearances for the franchise, and being a leading advocate for more diversity in the franchise. Truly, a Bachelor greatest of all time. So there you have it, Rachel's season of The Bachelorette, one that should have been on the Bachelor GOAT special, and absolutely one of my favorite seasons of The Bachelorette regardless. I hope you enjoyed this look back at Rachel's season, and if you did, be sure to give the video a like and subscribe. Nick Viall's season is coming up on the next GOAT special, so until then, Bachelor Fantake, out.
Stop it. Get some help.